continue it.
Well, with the maker of the motion, and I'm going to move this along, rescinded her motion, we'll just do the continuance.
She said she's willing to rescind it, but
Well, no, she said she did.
I just want to explore the possibility that the information that the clerk of the board can provide might be sufficient. If not, we'll continue it.
You want to comment on that?
We did perform an outreach to two of the members who had previously served on the commission, and as Supervisor Brown verbally described and as contained in the written summary, they felt that if there was a need in the future to reactivate this commission, they would certainly want to reserve that right to present that recommendation to the board at that time. And there was not an objection to disbanding the commission at this time due to its inactive status.
Supervisor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the Supervisor Colfax has really the institutional memory on this issue, and I concur that with his statements from my recollection is that there were supervisorial districts that were more committed to this body than others, and I think that before we just disband it, I think we need to do more of our due diligence in terms of outreach. The HR department has done color brochures for a variety of boards and commissions, and I think that in this case we could try that, and then we really have done our part to really go after membership, because I remember that once upon a time that this was a very active body that did very important things, and to date there are a number of these commissions in other counties that do, I think, very valuable community service. So I think it's really quite a commentary that we would disband a commission that focuses on the status of women. So in order to do that, I feel like for me to support that, I would want to see that we had done more outreach and that was clearly the best viable option for this point in time. So, but I think it's going to take more than just a week's period of time, and I guess we could get it back on for discussion in a week, but I don't think the week's period is going to be enough time to do the due diligence. So,
okay, this item will be continued. Just a quick comment on in my history, going back 12 years ago, we used to have a lot of people appointed on this commission, and to my memory, I don't believe that the commission's ever had one meeting in the last 10 years. So, that's another fact of this board to remember. I support the dissolving of the commission, and as if in the future time it needs to be, if there's a need, we can start it up again. That's not a big deal. But anyways, that item is continued. We're going to take a 5-minute break and be back for the budget workshop session, okay?
Well,
it's just a general
Mr. Chair,
continuance.
I'd like to round this out. I would like to see it continued to March 3rd. I think that is sufficient time to do outreach to the community to let them know what the planned action is.
It's continued. It may be March 3rd, but it may not be. We're plugging up our agenda items. Item 5D, this is a board budget session. County CEO, Tom, if you want to start this off, please.
Well, I think it's one of those good news, bad news. The good news is the governor has signed the budget. The bad news is the voters have to approve a lot of what's done on May 19th, and it's a special election that our clerk assessor will have to conduct on May 19th, and there's only been the promise that we're going to receive reimbursement for that election. So would like to encourage everyone in the listening audience to get involved, pay attention to those items that will be before them on May 19th, because if we don't have a good outcome with those changes the governor has proposed, we will be back again without a budget in California and looking at more severe cuts. Other than that, I'd like to turn the time over to Allison Glassy, the Assistant CEO for the county, and Jennifer Wyatt, and our Auditor Controller Meredith Ford, to conduct the presentation for you today.
Good morning. It's still morning. Today's board budget workshop is going to accomplish a number of things. I'm Allison Glassy, Assistant CEO, and we're essentially bridging 2 fiscal years, not in quite the same way that the state of California has done by merging them all together, but we're going to be talking about both fiscal years today. And so that is the present one, 2008, 2009, and then next year's 2009, 2010. And traditionally, this February workshop is kind of the inauguration of the next year's budget process, while we're still looking at where we are mid-year in the current budget year. So we're going to go through a number of things. We're going to start off first with revenue projections, looking at this year and then looking at next year and somewhat into the future. Then we're going to be focusing on the state report on the state budget and the mid-year update, and going over that in as much detail as you as board members wish to go through it. And then I'll be providing kind of a recap of what, based on that mid-year update, we're facing in order to close out this fiscal year with a balanced budget. So that's kind of the first part of this entire presentation. The second part then will focus on inaugurating the 2009-2010 budget, and my sense is that that will likely occur after lunch. And the main feature of that discussion, aside from laying out how we approach that, is going to be board discussion on board priorities and how direction that you give to staff on how you wish us to start constructing that budget. So I'd like to introduce Meredith Ford, our Auditor Controller, who will be talking about revenues.
Good morning. I'm Meredith Ford, Auditor Controller. In your binder, you have a spreadsheet that shows a little bit of history, 2006, 2007 through 7-8, budgeted and actual numbers in Budget Unit 1000 for our discretionary revenue. You also have the adopted budget for 08 and 09 and what we've received to date. And then the final column is the revised estimate for 2008-2009 as to what we expect to see in actuals.
Excuse me, which spreadsheet are you on?
This is under tab A, the first spreadsheet.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And what that shows, the final numbers there show that we expect to be some $1.2 million short in what we had expected at the outset of the year. There are some increases, some decreases. There's an extra piece of paper that I've handed to the clerk earlier that lists a lot of the changes. I don't know that I'd like to go into every line item detail, but suffice it to say that there's a lot of fluctuation between what was budgeted and what we're now expecting to see, just primarily due to the economy. Do you have any specific questions, or would you like me to go through line item by line item, or?
I don't think that's necessary.
Okay, the next spreadsheet then in your binder is a preliminary 5-year forecast of revenues, and the sheet that I handed out this morning also lists some of the assumptions there. We expect for the property tax secured roll to remain fairly static. I'm reluctant to put an inflationary increase in there, just given the economy and given the number of reductions in assessment that the assessor has received and is still processing. We will have a better idea of how that looks later in the year, but not at this point right now. We expect the sales tax to decrease yet again from 809 to 910, and then hopefully it should start picking up again. The 4% decrease in sales tax, 1% decrease in the 910 numbers was per the state's estimate. They're projecting that it will start to climb back out of the hole there after next year, after 2009, 2010. That's the gist of it. If you have questions.
So basically what you're saying on the revenues, at the best, is going to be